Hello, Pete. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi, Pete. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear
Yeah, I
me?
can hear you.
All right, sweet. How's it going, man?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I got no notifications that you even tried to call. Maybe it was because we wasn't I hadn't confirmed your friend request yet.
Oh yeah,
So it might have went to a
I looked
box.
at that and I think that was maybe it. Yeah. Let me start the stream here while we're talking. It looks like you were up late last night with some of your fighters.
Yeah, yeah, man. Then I drove 2.5, well, almost 3 hours back home last night. So
Oh man.
yeah, I was out pretty late.
Yeah, that's a crazy night. I sent you a message and then I realized after I sent it, I was like, oh crap, it's like 3 in the morning his time. But you responded. I'm like, oh man, he must be up. So good deal. Yeah, let me try and get this connected here. Oh, all right. Looks like we are live, man. So,
All right.
so you've been doing a lot of training. You just fought not that long ago. Like you're like 47.
Yeah, I turned 47 in January actually.
You're an
And
animal, man. You're past Randy Couture there.
yeah, right. Well, I think Randy retired at 47, wasn't it? I think
Was it
that's when
47? I thought it was
yeah,
46. Maybe right
no, I
about
think it was
47.
47 when he fought Machida.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that one. He fought excuse me, Brock Lesnar pretty old, and then yeah, the fight with Lyoto Machida. But
Yeah.
that was pretty crazy. You started out in kickboxing. You're 15-3. You were doing good in
hmm
kickboxing. What got you into martial arts, though? For guys that don't know that about you.
Uh, pretty much when I was in college, man, I had to find something that was going to keep me in shape during the off season and the summers, and kickboxing and karate, the whole Kempo karate thing. I think right around the time I started taking Kempo karate is when that Jeff Speakman movie came out called The Perfect Weapon. So Kempo was real popular back then, and but yeah, I just needed something to stay in shape during the summers and off season for football while I was in college.
That is one of my favorite movies. Actually, I remember when that came out. Anybody who hasn't seen Perfect Weapon, that's a great movie. I'm sure it stands
Oh
up
yeah,
today. I watched that thing so many times.
yeah, that's an awesome movie, man. I was like, where can I learn this stuff? It just so happens a guy opened a little school like right up the street from my house. I saw it going home one day, and I stopped in, and then I started training.
Nice. Uh, you were one of the most athletic fighters I think at the time that I seen. Just the explosiveness. Do you
hmm
attribute a lot of that to your football training?
Uh, that and just genetics and natural gifted ability. I was able to pull off a lot of things just because of my athletic ability that a lot of other people couldn't pull off. But yeah, man, I was pretty much a natural athlete. Pretty much anything I did, I picked up pretty quick and was able to do well. So I mean, anything from I would play pickup soccer with some of my friends that were on the soccer teams. Tennis. The only thing that I really couldn't pick up very well was golf. Yeah, golf was a little frustrating for me.
I think I just don't have the patience for golf, so
Right?
I'm there with you on that. Yeah. I can hit the ball real far and I can putt a little bit, but that mid range thing,
Yeah.
that's difficult.
Yeah, for sure. I think I was in Australia one time. I spent some time there training. I did a couple of kickboxing matches while I was over there. And, one of my friends took me to the golf course, and I think I hit the ball good, like maybe one time. And then I took a golf class in college, and I hit the ball good one time the whole semester. I was like, okay, this ain't for me. I passed the class, but I couldn't hit the ball for nothing.
Oh, that's great. Well, I think if you found your calling there. By the time when you went in the Ultimate Fighter season 4,
hmm hmm
you were already a little ways into your career. How old were you? during that season?
Oh man, I was the oldest dude in the house at the time. Let's see, what we shot that in '06. What are we now? 2018. So that's 12 years ago.
So you
It's
were
32.
35 at the time? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd already beaten Matt Brown and Robbie Lawler by that time, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, the Matt Brown, at the weekend I was fighting Matt Brown was the weekend that I got called to do the Ultimate Fighter. Matt Brown was going to be my last fight, and then I was going to retire. And then I got a call at weigh-in from my manager about doing the Ultimate Fighter, and that's how I ended up getting on and doing the show.
That kept a lot of fighters going, and that
Yeah.
of course that launched the sport into a new spectrum. Hopefully
Yeah.
you were able to make a little bit of money. I know some of those early shows though, some people didn't get paid a whole lot, and they're lucky if they got paid at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody got what they were supposed to get contract wise. As a matter of fact, I've got a kid that was just on the he was on the season with the 125ers, Eric Shelton.
Okay,
And
yeah.
yeah, his contract is basically the same numbers as my contract was back in '06.
Oh wow.
All they did was extend the length of the contract and they extend the bouts by I think one bout. I think it's crazy, but it's hard to believe that 10, 11 years later that the base pay for the Ultimate Fighter is still the same as it was when I did it in '06.
Wow, that is crazy. I had no
Hmm.
idea of that. No, I never doubted the UFC paying. I was kind of thinking about some of these, some of the lesser organizations. I've heard stories in boxing of promoters, the
Oh
stiff
yeah, yeah,
guys
yeah,
and,
yeah,
stuff like that. No, UFC has always been on the up and up from everything I've seen as
yeah.
far as that's concerned. But, yeah, that's crazy that after selling for $4 billion, that he's not making more than they did in 2006. But
You preaching to the choir, buddy. Preaching to the choir. Yeah, yeah. It's pretty ridiculous, but
yeah,
that's that's another subject within itself.
I was watching some of your highlights and I was thinking, and I know you're 47, but I think there's a big money fight out there for you that you would like that you'd do pretty well in. That guy, that pretty boy over there coming from boxing.
Yeah, I think I'm too big for that guy.
Oh, you destroy him, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Maybe if he decides to go into MMA, he needs to bring me in as a trainer. I can definitely help him with his kickboxing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, coming at 40 years old, obviously he's got the boxing there, but yeah, that's
Hmm.
that's pretty old to be coming in and getting all those tools. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous for him to even be if he truly is thinking about going into MMA. It's ridiculous. He's gonna get destroyed unless they match him properly. But if not, he'll get destroyed by the average guy.
oh yeah, I absolutely agree. That's like that's sports evolved tenfold since then. I mean, even the regular boxers, the guys that came in like Art Jemerson back in the day. I mean,
Yeah.
they got killed. I'm friends with Marcus Davis. I was talking with him last week, but I didn't realize, he was a professional boxer before he came in, Irish hand
Hmm.
grenade. But even he
Yep.
had an extensive mixed martial arts background that they didn't talk about. He just hadn't gotten the jiu-jitsu part of it down yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Marcus, that's good old guy, good guy.
Yeah, I really like him. I've been a fan of his for a while. You guys' season was that was crazy because it was all people that were in there that had already been in the UFC. But
Hmm.
was there anything that really surprised you in the house?
Nah, not particularly. I mean, we had all been there. We had already been in the UFC before, and I mean, the only issue was the isolation. I think that got
Besides
to
Shoney
everybody.
Carter walking in buck naked?
Yeah, Shawnee's a character, man. I wasn't too much worried about Shawnee, but I mean, some people that didn't like it, but I ain't had no issue with him. I think we played a game of pool and speedos together, so
That's
it was,
funny.
it
Yeah.
was all good.
He was telling me that didn't get on the show because I was talking to him actually too, and I don't remember who it was, but he said somebody bet him $100 he wouldn't walk into the house buck naked. I was like, man, they really wanted to lose $100. Doesn't surprise me
Right?
anything that guy does.
That's a no-brainer for Shoney.
Uh, uh,
Telling you.
absolutely, man, absolutely. Um, but yeah, you beat all the guys that are top now. Like I said, you were a little older once you got into the house, but
Hmm.
if this had came around 10 years later, I mean, do you think you'd be champion? I know it's hard to say, but you got the win over Robbie Lawler. You got the win over Matt Brown. Yeah.
I mean, I would probably be right in the mix. Whether I'll be champion or not, I don't know, but I think I would be right in the mix for sure.
Okay, I got a question from somebody on the live stream here. He's asking, he says, how much do you think the style of fighting has changed in house? Since you were in the house, since maybe like 2006.
All the pretty much today, all the guys are well rounded. For the most part, they're well rounded. That's the big change. I mean, now back when I was coming up, you either wanted to be in the NFL or the NBA. Those were your goals as far as athletically. But now you've got kids that are training and wanting to grow up to be mixed martial artists. So the game that way has evolved with the popularity of the sport, and you've got young kids that are actually aspiring to be mixed martial artists as kids. And so that's kind of like the only difference. Now you got, I want to be an MMA fighter, I want to be in the NBA, I want to be in the NFL, and that's the kind of conversation that these kids are having at these young ages now. So the game is so evolved, and all these kids are starting to train at an early age these days.
Yeah, for sure, and hopefully there's some more money in it in the future, like we were talking about. But
Well, yeah, we're hoping to see that. I mean, there's already a lot of money there, but just the fighters aren't getting their fair share of the money. But there's already a lot of money out there. I mean, obviously you stated it earlier that a company sold for over $4 billion, so there's money there. It's just not being shared.
yeah, absolutely. I don't want to get you in hot water as far as controversy, so you don't have to answer it. But would you support a fighters union, or would you have supported a fighters union when you were in?
Well, a union is not the motto. I mean, a union within a certain promotion only solidifies the monopoly that they have on the sport right now. So as far as fighters getting together and banding together to I truly support that, but I don't think a union format is what's needed right now. It only solidifies and makes the sport non-competitive, because if you look at all the other sports, there's an opportunity for free agency, and athletes can go go other places, and get paid to go other places and participate in other places. Right now, it's not like that, and there's only a couple of organizations that have the money. But at the end of the day, you want to open a competitive market free with independent rankings and an independent title. And the owner of the promotion can't exclusively have the fighters control the rankings and control the title. That's a direct conflict of interest. So, it has to be a situation to where the rankings and the titles are independent.
Yeah, boxing kind of has, they kind of have that. They have their organizations, they have their
Hmm.
WBC, IBA, WBA, and then they have everybody kind of recognizes the ring champion, even though,
Yeah,
Ring
yeah,
Magazine, that's like your best pound for pound or
yeah.
whatever. But
And you have the opportunity to fight truly the best in the world. Because right now, the way it is, you have different champions of different promotions, and that each of those promotions have their own rankings. So how are you truly competing against the best in the world if you're not fighting against everybody in the world versus your top guys in this promotion, your top guys in this promotion, your top guys in this promotion. Now you're going to be having the argument of, okay, well, is the UFC champion better than the Bellator champion? Is the Bellator champion better than the Rising champion? So you have to be able to put it all together and truly be the number one man in the world, or woman for that matter.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of guys, speaking of that have came from the UFC and went into Bellator, and I think they were kind of expecting a little easier ride, and some of them haven't had as easy a go as they thought they would, like Benson Henderson.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, and vice versa. You've had some guys from Bellator that were doing great in Bellator, and then went over to the UFC and hadn't done so well. So, yeah. So you can't tell. It's because there's not a free, open, competitive market. Now, if it was truly free and open, then you'd be able to fight anybody in the world and have a promotion to bid on putting on that particular event, and that's how you get the most money and generate the most money for the fighters.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've never seen another cross-promotion event, I don't believe. Maybe I'm wrong, but since the UFC went over to Pride for the one, the one-off, and a couple of their guys lost, and then, of course, they ended up buying Pride and later Strikeforce. So that I don't believe that helped the future of fighters' pay there.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. Have you looked into too much of this, the Professionals Fighters League that's coming up on NBC?
I have not, but I've heard a little bit about it, but I don't know a lot about it. I think initially, isn't that the same people that was doing the World Series of Fighting?
Yeah, it's Ray Sefo. They're doing the World Series of Fighting, and they're basically looks like it's just like a tournament, and whoever wins each weight class will win $1 million. And it's getting some attention of some decent fighters.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know too much about it. All I know is that Fitch went to Bellator, and he was already in position probably to be right in the mix of that league. So for it to be that great, why would he leave and sign with Bellator?
Yeah, that kind of surprised me because, I had seen his name, and all of a sudden he's with Bellator. I believe he's already signed a fight with Paul Daly.
Yeah, I saw an announcement about. I think Daly made an announcement that they were going to be fighting. So,
yeah, that's a good fight. That's a tough fight, I think. For I'd call Daly, but John Fitch, he's been around for quite a while, obviously. So that'll be a good fight.
Just avoid the left hook. You'll be all right. All you gotta do is avoid Daly's left hook, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, he does like to lead with that left hook, pretty heavy for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely, for sure.
And for good reason, because he lands it. He usually finishes people if he lands it. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's one of the most powerful guys at his weight in the world for sure. You can ask a lot of guys, but what do you think of? I've been asking everybody this lately. There's been a lot of controversy this year with people missing weight, like Michael Johnson, of course, just passed out on the elevator on the way to the weigh-ins.
Wow.
What do you think as far as that? Do you think that the UFC or some of these organizations should be in a little more control, or like same-day weigh-ins, or would you leave it how it is right now?
Definitely not a same-day weigh-in, especially if you got guys passing out the day before. I would keep it like it is, but I don't know. That's not an issue for me personally because I've never once missed weight in. I don't know how many fights I've had, probably almost 100, and I've never missed weight one time. So,
wow.
I don't know what those guys are doing, but you have to do it right. And obviously there's a formula to be able to do it right and start dieting out weeks out and start cutting your weight and finding a set amount of pounds that you want to try to lose each week up until you get to the point of your weigh-in. But again, for me, like I said, I've never missed a weight, so I don't understand why those guys do it anyway. how they miss.
Yeah, it seems to really be happening a lot more this year.
Yeah,
What was your walk around weight compared to your fight weight?
I walked anywhere from 186 to 192, and then
Okay.
always fight week. I wanted to be at least 12 pounds out. So by the time Monday hit for fight week, I wanted to be 182, and that was always my goal.
See, that seems a lot more reasonable. So I think some of the problem is that some of these guys are just cutting so much weight. Some of the guys I've talked to, I won't mention names, but I mean, I've heard of guys talking about they're 40 and 50 pounds out. I
Yeah,
mean, like two to
yeah,
3 weeks from, I'm like, that can't be healthy.
yeah, exactly. That's crazy. That's crazy. I know. I want to say I believe T-Bow or he used to cut 40 to 50 pounds before a fight.
Wow,
It's crazy. I want
oh
to
yeah.
say I want to say he walks around 210, 215 and fights at 55.
Yeah, he's always looked huge compared to a lot of
Yeah,
guys. It's like, are these guys in the same weight class? Because this looks like a
right.
185 or.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't see how those guys do it. Yeah, I don't. When I boxed, as a matter of fact, when I boxed, I would box at the weight that I walked at. I boxed at 162, and I was playing my senior year in college. I played football. I was 165, so I pretty much fought at the weight when I boxed at the weight I walked around at.
Yeah, see, that just seems a lot more comfortable for me. Yeah, I mean, I did judo in high school. I didn't ever like to cut a lot of weight, but I
Hmm.
mean, obviously we were, our bodies were still growing. But I remember the big weight classes. It was,
Yeah.
it was tempting to stay at 156 because I'd walk around at 165. It's like it's only nine
Right.
pounds. Problem
Right.
was, I was trying to get in the weight room. I could never gain any muscle. As soon as I jumped up to
Ah, gotcha.
172, it's like, I mean, I never cut weight because I walked around at 172. But,
Right.
I mean, I started winning almost all my matches, went directly to national championships that year and nobody ever probably would have thought I would have had a chance in hell of making it to national
Yeah.
championship. It was just like a different world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe they should add a couple more weight classes.
I've been
Cause
saying they should. There's some mixed
yeah,
reactions out there. What's the first weight classes you think they should add if they
cause
did?
that jump, those 15-pound weight class jumps is crazy. Like from 70 to 85. Uh, I would say probably just make a 10-pound separation. Like a 170 weight class, 180 weight class, 190 weight class. That should be feasible. Cause I got a 25er. He walks around at maybe 30, 32, 35 at the most. I mean, he probably should be fighting at like 115.
Yeah, that's not a huge weight cut. 10 pounds. That's not too much. I
Hmm.
mean, I look at it and I see, if it's kind of hard to blame some of these guys. It's like you walking around at 190 and you could drop 5 pounds, or everybody else is
Yeah.
cutting 25 pounds, so you're gonna
Yeah.
drop down to 170.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's been the main issue. I was always considered a big welterweight, but like I said, I walked around anywhere from 86 to 92. I mean, that's not that big of a cut.
But when you were doing, I'm sure you did some body fat percentages down there. I mean, some guys I think are also just more disciplined than others. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
you had to be. I don't imagine you were over 7% body fat back then.
Probably not back then, for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I was pretty lean back then.
yeah. Some of these guys, it's like, where are you getting it from? You gonna chop an arm off or what?
Yeah, yeah. Walking in looking like a skeleton because they just had a bad weight cut. It's just, it's pretty ridiculous. Like I got on one of my guys. He cut 10 pounds in 24 hours. No, 11 pounds in 24 hours. And then was wondering why he had the squirts that night. It's like,
Oh,
it's too much weight. It's too much weight to drop in 24 hours.
Oh yeah, I agree. And your organs
Yeah.
can start shutting down.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually talking to, and he said it on the interview, so I can say it was Marcus Davis. He
Mm-hmm.
had to go up and wait because I didn't realize this could happen, but he was actually having issues, disc problems, like 4 of his discs because of the expansion of your bones, I guess, when you put on that weight and then you go
Yeah.
and you lose it, and it's really bad on your body.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So I got a question on the stream from RS. He says, how many hours a day did you train when you were back in the heyday?
Um, it was pretty much like a full-time job, about 6 to 8 hours a day I was training. I have like 4 training sessions.
Okay, so just kind of split it up through the day. That's what I've heard a lot of.
Yeah.
That's insane. You ain't got much time to do much else when you're
Yeah,
training
yeah,
that
right.
much.
Yeah, I'd break down, I'd have my boxing sessions, kickboxing sessions, conditioning and weight training sessions, and then, sparring and technique and stuff like that. But pretty much about hour 45 to 2 hours per session.
Okay. That's crazy. And a lot of guys are going to like more of a keto diet right now.
Hmm.
But was that something back when you guys were fighting, or do you even think that's something that athletes need to do? I've heard, some mixed attitudes.
I don't know if you paid attention on the show. I was eating Twinkies and powdered donuts on the show, so I never had to really focus on what I ate. I just worked out hard and I was able to make the weight. But yeah, I pretty much until this last fight, after being off 4.5 years, I really didn't have to watch my diet. I could pretty much eat whatever I wanted to, and I would still make weight.
Nice. Yeah. It hits you. I never had a problem keeping weight off either until, I had an injury and gained quite a bit of weight. And it's like, I tried this keto thing. And it's like, man, they're talking about the keto flu. It's like 3 weeks in. It's like, I'm still sick, man. I'm not sure if this is for me. But
Oh wow, really?
yeah, I've heard of it
Really?
hitting some people harder than others. And I've heard them even saying to fighters that basically some of them take your body up to 6 months to transition into burning your fat from fat to sugar. But
Wow.
I guess
Right.
it's like anything else, person to person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got a
Very
question.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Got a question from Adam Turner on the stream. He says, "What music did you train to when you were training?"
Oh my gosh, that was a long time ago, man. What did I, what did I listen to back then? I think I listened to back then a lot of Ludacris, probably some Busta Rhymes back then, some Janet Jackson. What else was I listening to back then? Usher. Matter of fact, I went to my first Usher concert right in the middle of my heyday back then. One of my friends is a dancer, Jerry Randolph. He was a dancer for Usher, and they were in Dallas, and he was a fan of mine. He hit me up, and we hung out, and he got me. I think I was third row of the Confessions tour, second or third row, and then I got to hang out backstage and stuff. So yeah, definitely I was listening to Usher back then too. H Town. Yeah, those are a few of the artists I was listening to back then.
Yeah, nice. I remember. Yeah, Ludacris was in his heyday back then. DMX, all
Hmm.
that. Uh,
Yeah, a lot of I'd listen to X. Yeah, yeah. Oh wow, that was an interesting question. Taking me back.
I, I know I see some of these young guys. I'm just coming up on 40 now, and they're like, "Oh, I'm talking about something like it's last year," and they're like, "Dude, that was 2006, man." It's like, can you count? That's like 12 years ago. I'm like, man, don't do that to
That's
me.
funny. I'm telling you.
Like, don't do that to me. I'm still listening to 2003 music, thinking I'm cool, But
That's some of the best stuff, man. I can't get into this mumble rap stuff they got going on today. Stuff
uh,
is ridiculous.
oh man, yeah. There's
Makes my
very
head
little that
hurt.
I can get into right now. It's like,
Makes my head hurt trying to listen to that stuff.
Yeah, makes me feel better. My kids agree with me though. They're teenagers now, and are like they grew up listening to a lot of the stuff I did, and they're like, "Dad,
Yeah.
we don't like that music either. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on right now, but we hope somebody fixes it."
That's funny.
Yeah, one of the guys on here, Adam Turner, agrees with you. He says mumble rap is killing music.
I'm telling you, man, and they're getting paid plenty of money for that stuff. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
It's definitely a different thing right now. So, but going back to fighter pay, that's one of my biggest things right now. If you're looking
Hmm.
at like a Bellator or even like a Premier Fighting League, I mean, what do these guys need to do to compete with the UFC, or what can they do? You think?
I mean, the UFC has pretty much just locked down the entire market. When the average or casual fan thinks about this stuff, the first thing they say is UFC. Oh, you do that UFC stuff. Well, no, I'm fight for Bellator. Well, is that the same as UFC? So they've strategically branded their name as the recognition of the sport, and the sport is mixed martial arts. So, I mean, what they did was genius, man. It was genius. So it's hard to compete. It's hard for these other promotions to be able to compete because the UFC has that branding locked down, and I don't think there's anything that can change it at this point either. So,
Yeah, it's
I
going to
mean,
be
I don't
very
know. That's a
hard.
great question. I don't know. I don't know what Bellator can do. I don't know. Other than, pretty much the more of your kind of hardcore fans, they know the difference. But the average casual everyday fans today, they don't have a different they don't know the difference. Everything for them that's involved with this sport is basically called UFC.
Yeah, and see, I remember that when it first started getting big. I mean, I was watching it back since the day I was watching Thai boxing before UFC even came out in '93.
Mhm.
But I remember,
Mhm.
in like 2005 with Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner, and people were
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, you do that UFC." I thought eventually this
Yeah.
is going to evolve, and people will be like, "Oh, you fight, you do MMA, you do this," and
Mhm.
yeah, it doesn't seem to
Mhm.
have changed a whole lot. If anything, like you say, maybe it's maybe gotten worse.
Yeah. 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 I mean, what's the only promotion that's pretty much basically on TV now, basically every day. It's the UFC. Everything is UFC, everything. So, that's how people relate to mixed martial arts now. It's UFC.
Yeah, as a fan, I can't complain about all the MMA that's been on recently because we're getting a lot of it. We're getting a lot of fight nights on UFC,
Mhm. Mhm.
Bellator, a lot of other stuff. I mean, it'll be nice. I like the Premier Fighting League. They have something a little different going. Hopefully, it's successful on
Yeah.
NBC. But yeah, they need to get these guys some money. I'm not a big fan of
Mhm.
that Reebok deal in the UFC at all. I thought that
Oh, I
really
hated
just
it.
stripped a lot of the salary away of fighters.
Yeah, yeah, it did most definitely. And I think they're, in my opinion, they're doing that to make the UFC make it look as if it's a league, and at the end of the day, it's not a league. It's the individual fighters that are getting in there and fighting. It's not a league, so I don't understand. This league concept that they're trying to do with these uniforms, and you know, now I go with my young kids. Like back in the day, like there was no wardrobe department when you went to the UFC to fight. So now you got a whole wardrobe department, and you have to go and check in and get your uniform, and like it's ridiculous. Like that stuff is just ridiculous to me. Now I can
Yeah,
understand that, yeah, if I was playing basketball or football, yeah, but there's no individuality in the sport anymore.
well, yeah, and it kind of seems to me like it's you have it both ways. It's like a lot of employers, but it's like, when you say one thing, say, oh, we want to have everybody to be uniform. And then when you bring up other things, it's, oh, you're a private contractor. We can get rid of you at any time. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we as fighters we're not employees of the UFC. We're the employers.
Yeah.
And
So,
so, and yeah, I mean, and to not have a say in, what you can do, and that you're independent contractors, but they treat you as employees. They give you a code of conduct and stuff that you have to follow as you're an employee, but you don't get the same benefits as being an employee. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that's how I don't understand. Like now with the new USADA thing, it's like you're not one of our employees, but we can stop you anywhere on earth, and you
Hmm.
better pee in a bottle for us within 40 minutes, or you're suspended.
Yeah,
That doesn't.
you're an employee when convenient, and you're an independent contractor when it's not.
You got guys that are saying they have never committed. They don't know if they're ever going to fight again or not, and they're still being
Hmm.
randomly drug tested. So
Hmm.
yeah, that is crazy to me. But I wish these
Yeah.
guys would start getting paid, like some of the other professional sports. And people get on people like Connor and Nate Diaz and some of these other guys. They say they just want to go after the money fights. Oh, well, why don't you go after the best in the world? I see both sides
Hmm.
of it, but if it's me, I'm trying to get as much money as I can.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah,
blame them.
and where to kind of get the most money? He had to go to boxing.
Exactly.
He had
Yeah.
to go to boxing, and as a boxer, he was under the protections of the Ali Act. So the promotional stuff, any money that went into that particular fight, kind of knew in advance what money was being put in, and that's how he was able to get a big piece of the pie. Because if you look, there was an interview he did. He's like, "Yeah, I gotta have my people go in and check all the books, so I make sure I'm getting the money that I'm supposed to be getting." And what he said, and what he meant by that is the merchandising from the event, pay-per-view numbers, live gate. He has access to all of that. Fighters in mixed martial arts, they don't have that access
Yeah.
because they don't have any protections or legal ramifications. The promotions can just do whatever they want to do. They don't have to disclose any amount of money to you. They can make you put a sponsor on your uniform, and you don't even get a penny of that money.
Yeah, that does seem pretty ludicrous to me. I know a little bit about the Ali Act as it pertains
Hmm.
to boxing. Um, do you know what has there been a big push to get that simulated over to MMA or over to the UFC?
There's work being done. I know there's people lobbying against it that spend quite a bit of money to lobby against the Ali Act being included to cover mixed martial artists and other combat sports. So, I mean, there is some fear there from some people that doesn't want mixed martial artists to be covered with the act. But yeah, I mean, there's work being done, and hopefully that can happen and be able to give these guys some type of protection and legal ramifications. But we'll
Absolutely.
see.
Well,
The work is the groundwork is definitely being done behind the scenes.
that's good to hear. I mean, I know Dana. He kind of built a lot of things from nothing and stuff. But at the end of the day, Dana White's not the one getting punched in the head.
Hmm.
You know,
Exactly. And
that's
then you
always
getting
the way
these
I look at it.
getting these well, we've had a couple of diagnoses of CTE with a couple of MMA fighters. Was that I think it's that Jordan Parsons kid. Uh, I think he was diagnosed with it um, after he passed.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that was sad. Yeah, I heard some of that, and of course Gary
hmm.
Goodridge, man, he was fighting
Hmm.
way
Yeah,
after he probably should have been fighting. But
yeah,
I've talked to several fighters though, and they don't want people telling them when they should stop fighting or when they should go to a different weight class or whatever. Do you think that
hmm,
there is a point though that some of these commissions need to look in and say, hey, for the safety, if you've been knocked out, you've lost your last 13 fights to knock out
yeah.
it. Is that any of their business, or do you think that they just need to let them do their thing?
I mean, I think they should. I mean, just recently I had one of my fighters on a smaller promotion. They moved his fight to 3 3-minute rounds because the guy he was fighting, he had he had about 20, I want to say like 22 fights, but he had lost his last 5 in a row. And so the commission took it upon themselves that they weren't going to approve 3 5-minute rounds. But they approved him to do 3 3-minute rounds. And so I think that's one of the steps they were trying to take to kind of protect this guy's health because of the amount of losses that he's had. So they just moved him to 3 minute rounds instead of 5 minute rounds, which I get it, but you have to look at how he's lost. And I think his 5 losses were decision. Wasn't like he got knocked out 5 times. Now, if he had gotten knocked out 5 times in a row, yeah, he probably needs to be suspended for quite a bit of time if he's going to continue to fight. But losing 5 decisions, I don't think that warrants moving a fighter to 3 minute rounds when the rounds are, scheduled to be 5 minute rounds. Losing by decision anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's a lot different story. It's like you look at Hector Lombard. I think he just had a 5-fight losing streak, and then he had the fight against CB Dalloway. Of course, there's some controversy. Technically, he got disqualified, but
yeah,
I mean he knocked CB Dalloway out too. But did you watch that fight, by the way?
I did.
What did you think of that decision? Fair?
Yeah, I mean, it was the right call. I mean, he did get hit after the bell, so that was the right call. I mean, no, I don't think the DQ was the right call. I think they should have moved it to a no contest.
So that's what I
That's
what I thought.
No contest on the accidental foul is what I think it should be ruled. But a DQ win for CB, I don't agree with that. But I think it should have been a no contest.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. It looks like they might be looking at a rematch, and hopefully Hector wouldn't lose his contract over something like that, because I know he was kind of teetering on the edge there after some losses, but he's obviously still got
I don't think he
left.
will. Not in that circumstance. I don't think they will. I think they'll give him one more shot before they do that. If he loses that, then possibly, yeah. But you can't. I mean, it would suck for him to be cut off of a controversial DQ loss in a fight that was actually starting to be a pretty good fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree, and that one should have been a no contest. There's a few other ones that have been out there. Do you think referees should have access to instant replay or everything that the fans can see?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, I mean, what will it hurt?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, especially, and I think the judges too. I think the judges should have different angles and things. I was listening to Joe Rogan talking the other day, and I'm not sure if I'd take it quite as far as he would. He said he wanted to see. He thinks that there should be 10 judges. I think that seems a bit excessive.
Oh my gosh, that's too much.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I thought that was a bit excessive. 10 judges, but
it has to be an odd number. It can't be an even number.
Yeah, because you're going to have a lot of draws. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It would have to be an odd number of judges first off. It can't be 10, but it had to be like 9 or 11. But yeah, that's too many. That is completely too many.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. But do you think the sport has moved? We're talking about 2006, 2007 was really big. Do you think that the sport has moved and grown at the rate that you thought it was going to back then?
Oh no, it's exceeded what I thought it would do by tenfold. I mean, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. There's a UFC every other week, like 2 or 3 in a month. It's crazy. I never thought. I mean, back when I was fighting, we had maybe 4 UFCs a year, maybe. This is ridiculous. I mean, this thing has grown exponentially. It's crazy. Never did I think it would get to this point. Not this fast.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect to see the pay-per-views every month. I remember the pay-per-views. It's like, man, they would build those things up for 3-4 months.
Yep, exactly.
Do you think there's possibly even too much. I've heard some people say that
Yes,
maybe it's too saturated. Yes.
yes, yes. I think so. Yeah, for for sure. Like especially for a lot. There's several of my friends that used to buy every pay-per-view card, everyone, and like now it's like every time you turn around, like somebody's like, "Did you watch the UFC this weekend?" I'm like, "What UFC? I didn't even know there was one." Like, yeah, it was. Like it's too many. It's definitely too many. Because I'm telling you, I know I've missed several that, and I used to watch it quite a bit. But there's just so many. I don't watch them that much anymore. Not the UFCs anyway. Um, I'll watch if I have a vested interest in like maybe there's some 25ers that's fighting that one of my guys might potentially fight or something like that. But there's just so many that I don't even watch. I record most of them, and then I'll look at the lineup, and if I don't recognize anybody in the lineup, I'll delete it. Or I'll fast forward through them and say, "Oh, okay, don't know any of these guys, so I won't watch it." It's just so many fighters and so many shows. It's just too many just to keep up with. I just have no idea.
Yeah, I think they're getting close to 800 fighters on the roster now.
Yeah.
That's that's pretty crazy. I think it does hurt them a little bit when you're talking about the promotion. Like you're talking about the Jeremy
Mhm.
Stevens Josh Emmett fight. That
Mhm.
card that was coming up. It's like they had cards the 2 weeks before that. There wasn't a whole lot of time to build that up, and I
Mhm.
thought it really could have done better in the ratings on Fox.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, it was just too many. It's just too many fights, man. Like you want to build stars, and they having so many, you can't build anybody anymore.
Yeah, yeah, you got a guy like I don't know why they don't bill a guy like Stipe Miocic better. I mean that's
Mhm.
the kind of guys I really like. Not that I like Connor, I like Nate Diaz, but it's like you got guys also like Stipe Miocic, firefighter, baddest man on the planet at heavyweight. How do you not
Yeah.
have that guy on a commercial 50 times a
Yeah.
day?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, look at your longest reigning champion ever, Mighty Mouse.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know
He,
why? Why he should be the face, whether he's fighting or not. They should make a conscious effort to promote him, and they don't.
I agree with you on that, and I've heard people say that they thought that he wasn't easily promoted. I think he's one of the easiest guys to promote out there. Period. And
I agree.
what's he doing? What are young people doing right now? And what's he doing? They're playing Call
Gaming.
of Duty. The guy's a gamer,
Yeah.
man. I mean, that's an
Yeah.
obvious tie-in.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So, well, I would love to see some more competition, definitely. But that lawsuit, Zuffa could be in some trouble with that lawsuit though from when they bought Strikeforce from that time. I don't know if you've seen the $1.6 billion lawsuit against them for North American monopoly.
Oh no, I hadn't seen much about that.
Yeah, so what
Wow.
what they were saying was it was just during that time, basically when they bought Strikeforce, from the time they
Uh
bought
huh.
Strikeforce, from when Bellator, started to become big. I think the fighters that are
Yeah.
involved are about 4 or 5 years, maybe even a little smaller time. But they're
Wow.
they're accusing them of a whole North America ban thing. And I know my friend Ian Brewster that we were talking about. He
Mhm.
used to be COO of W1 MMA over there, and you don't see a whole lot of going on in Canada either, as far as big
Yeah.
organizations.
Yeah. Yeah. They boy, they bought up everybody.
Yeah,
IFL, um, Strikeforce, Elite XC. What was the promotion John Lewis had in Vegas? Um, WFA.
yeah, yep, that's right.
Uh, the one that what was the one where Arvlovsky fought Fedor the first time?
Oh yeah, Affliction.
I think
You're
they
talking about
bought them out
Affliction.
too.
Yep, they bought Affliction. Yep, I was actually talking to Tom Atencio of Affliction and Affliction Clothing was about 3 weeks ago or so. I had him on the show, and
Yeah.
he talked about that. He also talked about maybe they paid a few of these guys too much right out of the gate, but
Yeah.
I wish somebody with a lot of money would come in and do that again, though, because that made me really happy to see those guys getting those kinds of paydays.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Cubans when he was doing his show, I thought he would be able to be a major player, but he quickly realized that there was diminishing returns on doing a fight promotion. And
Yeah, he was
so
doing the HD net thing. You were fighting over
yeah,
there on
yeah, I
HD
fought for
net.
him two or three times. I fought for him, and yeah, he just figured he could save his money and just throw the shows on his network instead of losing money promoting.
Yeah, he's one guy I wish that would have pushed it a little further. Because I mean, I got nothing against the UFC. I just want to see the fighters get paid, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's that's what it all comes down to at the end of
yeah,
it. But it's like I'm looking for your fights. I was kind of trying to put together a highlight trailer to announce you coming on the show, and I'm
yeah.
looking online. It's like all your fights are owned by UFC Fight Pass now. I can't find the Robbie Lawler fight. The Robbie Lawler fight's gone. The Matt Brown fight's gone. I mean,
Yeah,
it was basically your fights from HD Fight Nets.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
It's like telling people get UFC Fight Pass or you don't get to see it, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't get any money from the video game. I was on the first video game they had. I didn't get any money for that, which I
Yeah,
should have.
I I remember you on a game that was a while back. Was on
Yep,
PS2, I
sudden.
think. Yeah.
Yep, sudden impact.
Yep. That's right.
PS2. Yep.
That's right. I remember that. It's came a long way since then.
You ain't lying.
Hopefully these guys are getting paid something, man. I did see the UFC, the new Undisputed 3 a little bit. It is getting pretty complicated. The games
Yeah.
definitely came a long ways. My son keeps submitting me though. It's pissing me off. I can't stop him. I was beating him stand up, and he just keeps taking me down over and over again. He's like, "Dad, you got to work on your takedown defense." Dad, and I'm like, he knows nothing about MMA. I can't even get him to sit there and watch a
That's
fight with
funny.
me. And he's just like Daniel Cormier, just take me down over and over again.
Oh, that's funny. Good stuff.
All right, sir. I think you've had a pretty long night, but where can people connect with you? You on? I know you're on Facebook. Are you on Twitter?
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at I am Pete Spratt. And that's it, pretty much.
All right, sir. Anything in the future, like looking at any movie roles, anything like that? I've always thought you were a pretty charismatic guy. That you could get into Hollywood a little bit.
I mean, I would like to, but I don't know. We'll see. I got a friend of mine that's an independent filmmaker, and then he sent me a script a while back on the idea that he has for a movie. So that could possibly happen in the future. But other than that, man, I'm just running my gym and training my fighters. I got a good stable of fighters that are coming up, young fighters, and that's pretty much just where my emphasis is right now. I know next week we're going to train at the UFC PI. I got about 5 of my guys. We're going out there to go train and probably spend some time training at the Stream Couture and probably one Kicks gym as well.
You're going out to the new facility in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
That looks incredible. That seems to be the way to go. I am really glad that they're doing that for the fighters.
Yeah. Then my wife's birthday is that weekend too. My wife's birthday is next week, so we're going to Vegas. Got some of my guys. We all going out, gonna go hang out and train and all that good stuff. So it should be a good time this coming week.
Nice. Well, that looks great. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it. I think all the guys on here enjoyed it.
Oh, sure thing. Anytime, man. Anytime. I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I'll make sure and send you a link to the copy of it if you ever want to watch it later or anything
All
like
right,
that.
perfect.
And take
sure.
care, man.
All right, appreciate you.